Good afternoon everyone and welcome to video number 2. So it's just another quick video. I just want to discuss some of the election noise that's going around and some of the debates that we've seen on panels and shadow MPs, although they can't be called MPs at the moment because of the dissolution of Parliament. Apparently they all have to clear their desks, and when they call a a general election and the Parliament gets or it is the dissolution of Parliament, they have to clear their desks and seek re-election. I mean, everything else with dissolution of Parliament, I got an email the other day there to say that they had taken their petition that I'd signed was no longer active because of this, what Sunaks done with the election, calling this election. So, and what I've been doing this week and last week is just trying to observe some of what they're saying to see if anything's changed. I didn't expect it to. I mean, I was naive. You'd be naive to think it's going to change with people like Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer. I mean, one thing I will agree with Rishi Sunak on is that Keir Starmer gets in, it's very, very dangerous, but he'll be equally as dangerous. I mean, Keir Starmer, if he gets in, it'll be woke agenda on steroids, like, and I think that we're in for a rough ride with him, like. And I think that's who it's going to end up being, because there's noises about them scrapping the 2-child benefit cap. Now, I was against that when it came in, but we can't scrap that now, like, not at this point. I mean, we need to try and it's not fair for British people. It's really tough. We are in a really difficult situation, there's no doubt about it. But if you start scrapping that 2-child benefit cap, then the boats are just going to keep on coming. They're going to keep on coming anyway, but they'll come in bigger numbers. And I've not got a lot of hope for this Rwanda plan either. And well, Starmer wants to veto it altogether and get rid of it. So I don't know what that does for this country and where it leaves British people, because British people are already struggling to get by now. Struggling to get doctor's appointments. I'm hearing all the time about people that are dying waiting on operations because they can't get them in time. I mean, because of their bloody woke agenda, that people we better move these to the front of the queue so we don't get accused of being racist, or we don't get accused of being called something. And that's another thing I've been looking at this week and last week, is some of these Just Stop Oil protesters and this woke agenda. I'll possibly come to that in the video, but I want to just talk about the debates between Keir Starmer and what's his name, Rishi Sunak, and just some of the people like for the shadow side of things that's been coming on to Sky News, etc. And there was one that caught my attention. It was on Sky News, I think, and Rishi Sunak was discussing just what they always discuss, and there was a lady from the audience who was obviously finding it difficult with the cost of living, as so many as are. And she had informed Mr. Sunak that she just works to live. Like all her money goes on expenses, and he had asked her she had asked him what he proposed to do about that. And the first thing he said was, "Well, let me just say that I understand where you're coming from." Now, I would have just nipped it in the bud right there and said, "Well, hold on a second, mate. You don't know where I'm coming from." The only way he can know where that lady was coming from is by checking the price hikes on supermarket shelves, because there's absolutely no other way he would know, because he's not experienced what that woman was obviously experienced and what many have experienced in the past. And when they start talking about, I mean, even Labour's just a new Tory. It's red Tory, man. When they're talking about poor people that can't write a cheque. What they actually mean by that is that people, it's not people from their circle, like their dads and their parents, who could just write cheques. There you go. How much is it? Money's no object. Bang, slap it on the table. And so many people on universal credit, just like that lady that questioned Sunak. They are living that. I mean, I've spoke about it loads of times in these videos, but people that are just going out to work, to live, to make ends meet, and some of them aren't even making ends meet. And we've discussed many times what that does for mental health. And yet, paradoxically, they're all shouting about mental health and protecting the rights of trans people or people that identify from whatever they want to identify with. It gets more stupid by the bloody day. I just don't understand it. I really don't. I don't get why there's even people sitting in these panels saying, well, why should I vote for you? And there is people that are actually saying, why should we believe you? Because they've given us no reason why we should believe them. No politicians over the last 30 years has given us any reasons, because when you look back with hindsight and you look at what they've used to get into office and the campaign slogans that they've used, they've went back on almost all of them. I mean, Barack Obama in America, he was supposed to be the Antichrist to George Bush, but yet he dropped more bombs in 1 year than Bush did in his whole tenure. And everyone thinks it used to be, this isn't 1997, like, where Tony Blair gets in and Oasis are in the charts and it's all good. I know it was short-lived and Tony Blair turned out to be a wolf in sheep clothing, but at the time it looked like things were changing. That's not what this is this time. That's so far from it, and as I've said before, Sir Keir Starmer, he's so far removed from what he's supposed to represent. He's delusional, he really is. And I wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't trust him to look after a goldfish. Honestly, I just wouldn't. I wouldn't trust any of these people. Least of all someone by the name of James Murray. And someone actually called Labour's politics sixth, what was it? Yeah, I had to write this down. Sixth form type politics who are acting in an archaic way. Anarchic way, sorry. And that's true, like. And then you've got like James Murray, who's the shadow financial guy, financial secretary or whatever it is, and he was standing on was it Talk TV or something like that, saying exactly the same thing, that he knew what people were going through and that with the cost of living crisis. And again, he might be a wee bit more familiar than what Sunak will be, but even still, he's not got a clue either. You've not got a clue until you really speak to people that are in, like multiple people that are in that situation, which I happen to have done. As I've said many times, you get a feel for what's going on around Britain when you do a job like the last one that I did. And you speak directly to people, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet in here, but because I was so compassionate and empathetic, people opened up to you and they used to give you everything. They would give you all their problems, their kids' health conditions, their health conditions, the problems their kids are having at school. They give it all. And that's why I'm probably got a better understanding of what they're going through. Well, you'll have a better understanding of what they're going through than what that clown has. And I'll tell you what, see that James Murray, I normally wouldn't say this, but when you stand on television and talk the bullshit that he did the other day or whenever it was, it is, I mean, he's a man that needs to let go of his haircut, like, because he looks like a complete and utter prat. He's receding hairline. He needs to just let go and let the Clippers do their magic. And I wouldn't normally say anything about that, but they're on bloody panels talking about working people that can't write cheques. It's really it's quite derogatory actually, the way they look down on us, and it's time people realised exactly how they see you. I've heard a politician, I can't remember what one it was, but it was years ago, and they were basically saying or they got caught saying in private that the vast majority of people need to be governed because we can't be trusted to go to the toilet by ourselves. And that's genuinely how they look at us, everyone. That's how they look at us. And sometimes you can understand it with the way people act and behave and conduct themselves. I've been there myself. But you've got to understand that's usually in response to the unfairness of the world in one way or another. Whether that's in their childhood, they've maybe not got what their pals have got because of the system, because their mum and dad's never got. It's endless, and it's happening more now than it ever has. Now, ever has in my life anyway. Now, I seen poverty in the 90s living in North Lanarkshire. I'm sure people have seen it where you are in the 80s or whenever. But this is getting back to, or it's getting beyond that now, because people somehow they got by, and I know everyone gets by in the end. Like, not everyone. That's maybe not true. I maybe deserve a slap for saying that, because, in fact, I know I should get slapped for saying that, because I know not everyone gets by. I know that better than most, because again, I've spoken to them. But they're still standing up on panels asking for your bloody votes. They're doing nothing to reform any benefits. They don't want to give anything back. And I know the two-child benefit cap, before that can even be talked about, the bloody immigration policy will need to be dealt with. Now, I don't care if you've immigrated from a country 20 years ago and you've been here that whole time. You're still classed as a British citizen, and you've paid into the system. So I don't regard any of people that's came here 20 years ago as in this situation. Somebody said that the other day. You talk about all immigrants. Well, no, of course not. Talk about the ones that just came that are claiming they're coming through war zones that aren't. We need to get that addressed before we start bloody giving more than, because we can't take that 2-cap child benefit off at the moment, not now. I mean, we're trying to deter people from coming here, and that's, again, I'm not a racist for saying that. I wish we could take everyone in, and everyone should be looked after. But it is quite paradoxical as well, because if everyone gets too much, some people get too much comfort. They want more comfort and don't want to do anything. That's no good either, because that's not going to take us anywhere. We somehow need to be right in the middle of it somewhere. I don't know, I've not worked it out yet, but it would seem that the comfort zone is not a place to be, because nothing grows there. But it's not the comfort zone we're being asked to move into, it's the secure zone, and there's a difference in that. We need to be secure. Everyone needs security. Yes, you can get comfort from security, but only a tiny bit. You can't get freedom for that though, can you? You need to take your own freedom, because yes, you can be secure, but you can still be governed, which is exactly what they want to do. They're trying to manipulate a narrative to get you to accept it and vote for them that gives enough credibility to their system, which allows them to continue govern their subjects, and well, it's actually more the centralisation of more power, which is what is happening. And Keir Starmer's the man on the card, and he's the pick of this group, this cult. There's absolutely no doubt about it. You can tell by his narrative. Every woke policy wants to take it forth. And just on the woke policy, I mean, that just gets more mad by the day as well. I seen the other day there that there was a runner in America or something like that she was transgender, and she was 15. She transgendered into a man and competing with women. Or she was a man and transgendered into a woman to compete with women, and everyone booed it, and it's all over the place. That shouldn't have been booed, and it's like, no, it should have been booed, because they shouldn't even have been allowed to compete. And it's good, because some people are starting to put the questions to these gender idiots, that why don't men or women who become men compete with men's sports, because there's no point, because there's a physical disadvantage. It certainly wouldn't happen. Well, it wouldn't happen in boxing, it couldn't happen in football or tennis or basketball or anything, or rugby, none of it. Even cricket, you wouldn't get away with it. So that tells it there, and yeah, it just keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and people like Keir Starmer, they're employed to sell us out, to bring this agenda forward. Now, how much they know about it behind the scenes is anyone's guess. Only he knows, and the people that are around him. Rishi Sunak, I would say that somebody called Boris Johnson during the pandemic the biggest threat to democracy that we'd known, and I agreed at the time. But I think Keir Starmer's going to take that to the next level. He is the biggest threat we have to our freedom and democracy we've had since Boris Johnson, because this is just the agenda playing out. They're trying to confuse kids with their gender. That's a jail sentence right there for me, because they're trying to manipulate children's reality and what's going on around them by forcing this false information into their makeup. And once you put shite in, you get shite out. It's as simple as that. It's been proven many times. Shite in, shite out. It needs to be the right message, but people need to be taught to be able to critically think, which is something I had to learn on my own, and it took a long time. But that should be taught from the beginning. Anyone should be teaching their children to critically think. Just because she's standing at the front of the class, mate, it doesn't mean to say she's right. In fact, a lot of the time they're wrong, as I've found in my life. I watched a teacher tell me that killer whales don't kill anything, they're harmless. Go and look at orcas and see the destruction they can cause by the working together, and they can sink boats and everything. It's crazy. But that's just an example of a monstrous lie I was told at school. Another one was obviously with the pyramids, and we've found out that that's not true either. There's something else at play there. But sorry, we're going off here, but the point I'm making is the moral of the story. When you start confusing children as young as 5 and 6 that they can identify as all these different things, then you're going to create some disturbed adults. And some of them do say, that they've had school kids where There was one in particular where they'd said they had a school friend that identified as a cat, and they used to go around meowing, and I've actually had an experience with that. When I left here and lived in Bath for a while, I went to an all-boys school, and there was a boy there, and he acted like a dinosaur. He never spoke. I was quite shocked. I couldn't believe it when I got there. I was like, what is this place, man? But anyway, it was just... everybody was as taken aback with me as I was for seeing it for the first... I was just more because I'd seen it for the first time. But he used to run about the school, just try to gnash his teeth at people and roar at people and run around and even look like a T-Rex, like the way he ran. And I don't know what he was doing at home, like, I honestly don't know what he was doing at home, like, I don't know whether he'd done that with his parents or not. I didn't really want much to do with him, to be honest with you. But this was a guy, he clearly thought he was a dinosaur, and he used to get called Rex. And I was quite taken aback. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, like, honestly, and it was like, well, I couldn't believe it. I'd never seen anything like it. So I understand that there is some kids out there that can do those types of things, which is fine, and I presume this man, or this kid, I was 13 at the time, he was a year older because of the way the school system works. But I would like to think that he's grown into a competent adult and he doesn't do them things anymore. Which is, any kid that identifies as their favourite bloody animal at 5-year-old is going to go out of it, are they not? We've all got good imaginations as children, and that has to be remembered. But the woke brigade don't seem to remember that, or they don't want to remember it. And I love what they say as well. There was a couple of them that I'd seen that it was when panellists that have got 2 brain cells on active duty start pointing out the truth to them and saying, well, actually, this and this is true, which trumps that and that, what you're saying. And there's no argument to it because it's science and biology. And what they say to them now is that you're being intellectually dishonest. I thought, I love it. Intellectually dishonest. I'm intellectually dishonest on a daily basis, and I will continue to be as long as I walk the realms of this planet. And that's just the way it is. And Matt Walsh was asked once, why do you care? That's another thing they say. They say, why do you care so much? Because we care about the truth for reasons that I'm explaining. Because if you start bloody obscuring it and giving it to kids not in its full value, it will manipulate their reality in real time. As fine well the drivers of this agenda know. That's why it's everywhere. That's why you're not allowed to question it. They've got people, bloody, you're not allowed to say anything. If somebody identifies as a cat and meows apparently, and you say to them, look, I'm not identifying as a cat, I like to speak in English, if they get offended, you're accused of gender dysphoria, transphoria, whatever bullshit. It is utter madness, because they want a mad world. They need people to believe falsities. There was something that came out the Second World War, or before the Second World War, and if you could get someone to believe absurdities, you could get them to commit atrocities. And that's exactly what happened. Look at Nazi Germany. They got the people to believe in absurdity, which followed by the atrocity. And it's happened many times. Maybe China's another example of it. And it's frightening how many people in this movement, in this woke agenda, cannot see the similarities. I've had it with them a few in the video I done about this. I had it with a few people giving me some hassle about it, saying that I was gender dysphoria and all that nonsense. And I'd said, well, what about my was China? That was left. That was the left. So was bloody Stalin. It's communism, this is what they're talking about. They want everyone thinking the same, and if you don't think the same as them, you get scalded, and you get told that you're wrong, and you're intellectually dishonest, which again is hilarious. It's absolutely, it is, at least they're polite though, aren't they? At least they're polite with it. Some of them are just absolutely embarrassing, and you look at them, they roll out onto panels, same with the climate change mob, and Just Stop Oil. That Jim Dale, I'd never heard him till the other day there, but oh my God, that man has got to be one of the biggest balloons that I have ever clapped my bloody peepers upon. Honestly, he looks like an overworked version of Liam Neeson, so he does. You check him out if you don't know who he is, and listen to the bullshit he comes out with on a daily basis. And all these climate bloody gurus and these doomsday preppers and all the rest of it that go on about the climate. And I would just love to ask them one question. Can you explain axial precession to me, please? Or the precession of the equinoxes? And I'll guarantee you, 100 out of 100 of people that bloody push this nonsense would not have any idea what I was talking about if I had asked them, which is why their opinions on the matter are bloody flawed. And it's time they realised that axial precession, the earth wobble, it changes through cycles, through the movement of the heavens I've done in my video. And it creates extreme weather patterns. More extreme in one hemisphere and less extreme in the other, and it can swap about depending on the cycle. They don't mention any of that, none of it. Although one of them did say on the panel that they brought up the medieval warm period, and he didn't really got much, he couldn't answer, he kept backtracking, because they're liars. I mean, I don't know if they're paid liars knowing that they've done it, or these people have picked them out and said, well, he looks like an idiot, he'll buy this nonsense, we'll give him a buttload of money and he'll promote this agenda. Apparently what that Jim Dale is, he's not even got any qualifications, he just observes the weather or something, whatever it is. It's something for the Navy, a weather observer or some nonsense like that, but he's not actually got any qualifications. Like, I mean, neither have I, but I'll say it again, it doesn't mean you cannot listen to people that have qualifications. And some of them, there was one, and he was Just Stop Oil. I'm a doctor for the NHS. It's like, well, mate, that's a handicap in my bloody book, because that doesn't get you off on a good start here, mate. And the fact that you're shouting about oil, just stopping oil, but being a doctor again, is not a good look for you. So I'll pass, thank you. And you look younger than me, and less brain cells as well. So I'm not sure if I wouldn't go to him if I had a bloody cold, and that's the truth. I would only go to the NHS if I needed something diagnosed. As soon as I had it diagnosed, because they're good at, the West brilliant at diagnostics, like, they can tell you very quickly what's wrong with you, they just can't bloody heal it or they refuse to, or they don't give you the correct heal. Well, I don't know, it all seems to be the scalpel and the drug, but we're getting off point. And we need to start getting informed. I know I keep saying this, like, but people need to stop. They need to try and get rid of the background noise with these panels and all this nonsense that if you don't vote for this person, then this person's got to get, and it does not bloody matter. And I don't know what to propose that we to do about this situation. My mum was saying the other day there that she was going to, I can't remember, she's going to put on her ballot for another independent party. Maybe that is the way to go. Perhaps that's why Rishi Sunak's telling people not to do it, because it'll hand it to Keir Starmer. It's getting handed to Starmer anyway, Rishi, no matter what you do, man. You've had your time, like. So you've had your day, and it wasn't very successful. In fact, you look a bigger idiot before you went in. So, and that's quite staggering, really, like, because he looked like a serious idiot before he went in, and no one could believe it. Oh well, the only reason he got it is because the bit's in such a bloody mess, like. So that is the only reason that he got it. We need to get informed. Honestly, like, please don't think that you are any less. Because these politicians, they get all their salaries paid, and they're standing on these panels and they use nice and fancy words. See, before I used to read, I used to listen to these people and think, well, they must be knowing what they're talking about because they're using these big fancy words and nice posh English and all the rest of it. But see, now that I've actually read and I've learned more words and more of the English language, it's at this point I realise just how much it's just word salads. They don't know what they're talking about. They are selling you something. They are giving you information to sell you a reality, so that you will give them your endorsement by giving their name into the ballot. Because what that does is, doesn't matter who you're still lending credibility to their system, and you are lending credibility to a system that you know allows child poverty and child abuse and starts illegal wars and kills people. But you say, I need to vote for that lesser evil because that evil will get in and make it worse. Well, guess what? It's the same person that controls both. So we've been hard for a very, very long time, and it's getting worse and worse and worse with each election that passes. I'm sure you'll all agree. More bullshit, more lies, more austerity. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. And it'll keep... People are dying because of the austerity. And that's obvious. And the last 5G video that I've done as well is another cause for concern. There's just so much that we need to get a hold of ourselves. And I know many people are. But we need to stop looking at these people and think because they're nice and clean cut and that they're using all these fancy words that they're better than you, because they're not. They're no better at governing you than what you'd be governing yourself. You need to learn, you need to know yourself. I dare you to sitting around for an hour a day getting to know yourself. Honestly, you'll be amazed. So many people don't do it because they're worried what's going on behind them. Imagine sitting in a circle, you've been, like, say you're in your 60s or whatever, and you've been in a group of friends that have been Labour supporters your whole life, and you decide, well, actually, I don't like what Keir Starmer stands for. Not many people want to come forward with that. And that Rachel Reeves or something, I can't remember what she shadow's like, but she was being grilled about the Labour candidate that was supporting Putin, and she said, oh, we didn't know, but he's booted out the party because he doesn't agree with our values. And it's like, so basically what you're saying there is, Miss Reeves, that if you don't agree with one of your candidates, if they express an opinion that you disagree with, then you will then boot that candidate from your party, is exactly what you've done. And Jeremy Corbyn got the same treatment because he took a different opinion about what was going on in Israel, which so many more people are starting to see now. So, there was a woman on one of the panels that had said, she was discussing it with Rishi Sunak, I want one of your ministers, or why can't people just come forward and give us the truth? Well, sweetheart, many people have come forward to give you the truth with regards to the crimes your government have been committing, but many people have been scalded and told that we don't want to hear it. So the idea that somebody says, I want the truth, well, we've had the truth. People get scalded. No one wants the truth, they want the lie, because the lie's more comforting. Of course it is. And lies are usually what people want to hear. That's why they give you it. That's why they tell you what you want to hear, because they know you'll go for it. And this bloody next campaign's no different. It really isn't any different. I just wanted to have a small discussion on that, to hopefully give people something to think about, and hopefully you'll go back and have a look at some of these panels and these interviews and make a decision for yourself on whether you think the politics of Britain is fit for purpose. I'm sure you'll agree it isn't, but is it worth putting a vote into? I'm not sure it is. I'll see you in the next one.